Introduction. As more and more baby boomers retire, a lot of them are facing a key question. A lot of boomers have stashed away enough cash to comfortably support them throughout their golden years. Many have invested in 401k plans. Others have very robust IRA packages. Unfortunately, there's a huge chunk of senior citizens who have underfunded pensions. A lot of them are simply relying on Social Security. Others may have private pensions that don't really pay all that well. Not surprisingly, a significant percentage of baby boomers who are now retiring only choose to semi-retire. They still work upwards of 20 hours every single week to essentially supplement whatever pension funds they're getting from the government or from private sources. On the other hand, there are a lot of senior citizens who simply have a lot of time on their hands. They don't need money because they're well taken care of by their retirement plans. That's not the issue with them. The issue is, what do they do with their time? Regardless of which group you belong to, if you're a senior citizen, you should definitely look into working from home using the internet. There are many work-from-home jobs available out there, and the key is to use these opportunities to maximize your personal potential. You may not need the money, but you can definitely use the engagement. Why wouldn't you want to work on something that engages your sense of curiosity, adventure, and possibility? Wouldn't it be awesome to work on something that produces money while at the same time pushes you to be as creative and as imaginative as before? If you answered yes to any of the questions above, earning an online income may be the answer you're looking for. Why should you work from home? I know this seems like a very basic question, but we can't assume that we already know the answer. It's much better not to assume anything so as to not overlook anything. This is a very important basic question. Why should you work from home? What kind of benefits would you get working remotely? Convenience. When you're working from home, you don't have to put on your work clothes. You don't have to get from point A to point B. You don't have to hassle about traffic. You don't have to budget for lunch. You don't have to deal with office politics. You're just dealing with work in an environment you can control. After all, you're working from the comfort of your home. Also, you save a tremendous amount of money in commutes, in lunches, and all sorts of daily hassles that the daily grind brings to the table. You exercise your brain. There is such a thing as senior citizen brain drain. If you're a baby boomer and you've been working with your brain all these years, when you retire, suddenly, all that brain activity goes off a cliff. Maybe you were upper management in your career. People would come to you for all sorts of hard decisions. Maybe you would process a lot of data. Maybe you were a doctor or a lawyer during your previous career. These involved a lot of reading, analysis, and hard decisions. Well, when you retire, it's very easy for your brain to turn into mush because you just find yourself reading magazines, watching YouTube videos, and essentially giving your brain a pass. Well, when you're doing work for others from the comfort and safety of your home, you get to exercise your brain. Maybe it's not at the same intellectual intensity as before, but you're at least giving your brain something to do. You put yourself in a situation where you can remain intellectually productive and mentally sharp. The best part to all this is that your brain improves or at least maintains its functions when you learn something new. So, if you're going to work from home and you've branched into a new area that is outside your core competencies, you can bet that you are definitely giving your brain a much-needed workout. Don't disregard the money. Depending on how well your retirement has been set up, money may not even be a consideration for you. On the other hand, if you haven't saved much for retirement, money is a big deal. Regardless of how big of a factor money is to you, please understand that working from home can be lucrative. The techniques that I'm going to teach you in this training are going to step you through many different ways of making money on the internet, as well as through hybrid solutions that make online and offline platforms. The bottom line is, depending on how hard you work, depending on the kind of system that you build, and depending on how you invest your time and how your reputation shapes up, you can earn quite a bit of money. In fact, a lot of retirees easily make six figures just working from home. Now, that may not be a big deal to you because if you were particularly successful in your career, six figures is small potatoes. But in many cases, senior citizens working from home who pull down that much money actually put in very little time. Also factor in the amount of time, focus, and planning that went into producing income. You get flexibility. The great thing about working from home is you get flexibility. Personally, I love this. I have a small boy, and it's really a pleasure seeing him grow up. The great thing about becoming a parent is you get to relive your childhood through the eyes of your child. Whatever issues you may have had with your parents or whatever misgivings you may have had about your own childhood, you have a chance to fix that with the life of your child. It's no surprise that parents love to say that they give their kids the opportunities that they themselves did not have. This doesn't just involve money or the ability to buy certain things. This also involves emotional and intellectual nurturing, sustenance, and cultivation. Also, you get to enjoy a very nice work-life balance when you're working from home. Your work revolves around your schedule, not the other way around. This flexibility enables you to enjoy more of what life has to offer. Working from home gives you a sense of meaning. At the end of the day, what really makes life worth living is not the amount of money we have in the bank. It's not the amount of respect we get from others or the social status we manage to achieve. It goes beyond that. A life worth living really boils down to whether you think that there is a purpose to you living. What's the point of having a lot to live for when you have nothing to live from? It's all about purpose or a sense of meaning. When you work on your own terms, from home, you get that sense of purpose. You get rewarded for being curious. You get rewarded for breaking things up and putting them back together again and piecing the things together and connecting the dots. You ultimately get paid to learn, and it's really nothing short of beautiful when I see senior citizens that I coach professionally for online income generation regain that spark of meaning and purpose. Please understand that during your old career, it's very easy to define yourself based on your job or your title. But when you work from home, you define yourself based on the possibilities of the things you can do, and every time you produce something, you achieve a new level and you explore territory. That's a beautiful thing, because you're celebrating your growth as a human being on so many different levels. Keep the benefits above in mind if you're still on the fence about working from home. Please understand that senior citizens working from home don't just benefit financially from doing so. They stand to gain so much more. Get an online job as a virtual assistant. In the United States and elsewhere, there are huge numbers of companies that are discovering the power of a distributed workforce. Now, a lot of these companies are startups that have a purely online business. Maybe they have online stores, or they offer some sort of software service available through the web. However, interestingly enough, an increasing number of offline businesses are also turning to the internet for specialized virtual assistant services to help them find new customers, take care of digital paperwork, or do some logistical work like managing appointments, researching clients, and similar tasks. Accordingly, there is a strong demand for virtual assistants. Senior citizens can take advantage of this growing demand. This is especially true of individuals who have worked at an office before. Maybe you were an administrator, or maybe you assisted executives, or you just know your way around an office environment. The tasks involved. Virtual assistants usually just handle administrative tasks. This includes answering emails, scheduling appointments, going to travel websites and buying tickets for executives, as well as setting up all sorts of travel arrangements. Essential requirements. In terms of character traits, you need to be able to work under pressure. The pressure normally comes in the form of a deadline. You also have to have solid critical thinking skills, and you have to be a self-starter. This means you don't require somebody to look over your shoulder. Your boss doesn't have to shake your cage so you can get motivated to work. At the very least, you must be able to deliver what's expected of you at the expected time. Finally, you have to have solid English communication skills. This can't be emphasized enough. You have to write and document what you did for your employer. Now, a lot of times, this is taken care of by project management software. You're given a series of assignments and you just plug in what you did and at what time and you are done. Well, it all depends on the setup. Some virtual assistant arrangements are more informal than others, while others require specialized tracking software. In fact, some virtual assistant jobs have a status check software installed on your computer. This enables your employer, with your full legal permission, to check your screen at any given time within the block of time you agreed to work. This will let them know if you're playing online poker or messing around online or actually doing the work they pay you for. Different arrangements. What I would suggest is you try to get a virtual assistant project that pays based on outcome instead of time. The problem with working on a time-based basis is that it feels like you're working at an office. Sure, you're working from the comfort and convenience of your home, but your time is severely restricted. This is made worse when your boss can check your status by checking your screen. By shifting to an outcome-based arrangement, your boss will pay you for results. The results are pretty straightforward in a typical virtual assistant arrangement. Either you set up the appointment, either you looked up the clients and made contact, or you didn't. Either you booked tickets or not. These either-or situations can easily be documented. This way, you don't have to constantly watch over your shoulder and have to worry about some sort of virtual surveillance by your employer. You only need to send them the right reports at the right time. They can verify them, they can double check them, and once everything checks out, you can then move on to the next task. Of course, this is not always possible, so make sure you look at the project details before signing up for a virtual assistant job. These details do vary from employer to employer, customer service representative or technical support. While a large chunk of CSR work moved overseas, there is still a space for senior citizens in the United States to become CSR or call center workers. The key here is specialization. The great thing about inbound sales that requires specialized knowledge is that people are calling in regarding a particular product or concern, and you can easily scale up the interaction so they end up buying something more valuable than what they originally thought. In many cases, they end up buying something when they just called in to ask a question. Types of tasks. Different call center jobs have different configurations. The best paying ones involve some sort of sales. Now, please understand that this doesn't mean that you have to become some sort of used car salesman with all the necessary cheesiness and obnoxious behavior. It doesn't have to be like that. In many cases, within an environment of simply responding to people's needs, you can upsell them to higher value products or service packages. Here are the most common skills required in a customer service environment: resolving issues, answering questions, analyzing the caller's concern and directing that person to the right resource, doing analysis and listening to the customer at the same time, documenting the interaction, listening to the customer and analyzing their actual needs, meeting quality standards, solving problems, knowing product issues, knowing marker concerns, basic phone skills. The key to making money as a specialized call center agent. If you are based in the United States and you're a senior citizen looking to make money as a call center agent, the key is to know your stuff backwards and forwards. When somebody calls and they realize that you really know your stuff and you can help them solve their problems, it's very easy to upsell them. Since you get paid based on commission, you can possibly earn lots of extra cash being a specialized upsell call center agent. How? People call in for customer support, you solve their issues, then try to sell on a related service package. General freelancer. This is a general heading for senior citizens looking to do work on the internet. There are many different types of freelance jobs you can take, but there are general similarities. When you work as a freelancer, you work based solely on your own time. What kind of jobs can you do on a freelance basis? Generally speaking, the most common freelance work available online involves writing. Please understand that there are many different types of materials people hire writers for. Here's a short list of freelance writer work currently available: academic writing, screenplay, grant proposals, technical specifications, technical manual writing, legal contracts, demand letter or formal legal pleadings, online content, books, novels, personal biographies or memoirs, online guides, business plans, business proposals, service proposals. The list above is just a short list. Let's put it this way: as long as something needs to be written in English, it can be outsourced to you. Requirements. There are no formal education requirements to be an online writer. In fact, I know people who only have a high school diploma and some barely have that diploma who are pulling in 5 figures. The great thing about online writing is it all boils down to the quality of your output. That's all the customer cares about. Other variations. There are many other variations of freelance writing work. You don't necessarily have to write the materials yourself. You can be any of the following: editor, transcriber, proofreader, transcriptionist, ad writer, copywriter, copy reader, project brief writer. As you can tell from the other subsidiary projects above, the writing portion is just a small fraction of the overall project. There are so many variations to writing work, and believe me, the internet will never run out of demand for writers. How come? It all boils down to basic English communication. Companies know that they need to present their ideas in a professional way. They know that they need to be understood effectively and efficiently. This, of course, requires people to communicate effectively. Requirements. You should also invest in Whitesmoke or Grammarly. These are online grammar checkers that will help you clean up your output. I don't care how polished of a writer you think you are. Everybody's got rough edges. Become a blogger. Everybody's got opinions. Everybody's got ideas. The good news is there is a universal market consisting of potentially billions of people. The internet is really a large audience. You may think that you have all these wild and wacky opinions that nobody really takes seriously. That may be true, but it may be the other way. It may well turn out that your opinions, as weird and as awkward you may think they are, might actually appeal to a large number of people. When you publish these materials, you may be in for a pleasant surprise. There may be a lot of people reading your stuff, sharing your stuff on social media, and essentially developing a community around your content. If all this sounds far-fetched to you, don't be so skeptical. This happens all the time. In fact, a lot of online publishers started out this way. They would just share their opinions, or they would share research that they've compiled and put into their own words in their own personal blog. They thought that nothing was going to come of their blog, which was purely a hobby. Well, thanks to social media as well as search engines, these people are making full-time income from their blogs. In fact, a lot of these publishers end up selling their properties for quite a bit of money. $100,000 to $1 million is not unheard of. Excited yet? Follow the tips below to set up your own blog. Pick the right niche. If there's any one piece of advice I can give anybody looking into blogging, it is this. Your niche will make or break your blog. Pick the wrong niche and your blog will die. According to the New York Times, over 90% of blogs ever started end up dying. That's how high the blogging failure rate is. A lot of this can be traced to the wrong niche. You have to pick a niche that is rewarding enough for you to remain motivated and pumped up about blogging. If you are blogging for 1 month and you're just cracking out content like there's no tomorrow, if you don't make any money and there's no engagement or any kind of objective indication of success, sooner or later you're going to run out of steam. After all, you can only run on passion for so long. To create a self-sustaining business where you can get the motivation you need to just produce high-quality content and produce these materials over an extended period of time so as to maximize their income potential, you have to pick the right niche. The right niche can be boiled down into the formula below. The right niche equals the topic you're passionate about plus high enough search volume levels. You can get this through Google Keyword Planner tool. Plus high enough commercial value. You can get this with the Google Keyword Planner tool. And manageable levels of competition. You can find this through a simple Google search for your target keywords. Just wrap your mind around the formula above and you will be able to blog successfully. Starting a blog. Starting a blog is actually the easy part. The hard part is picking the right niche. I'm providing you the steps below under the assumption that you already know how to pick the right niche or you have already chosen one. Step 1. Get a hosting domain name and install WordPress. I suggest that you get hosting that allows for a one-click WordPress installation. A lot of people say that you should use free tools like Blogger.com, WordPress.com, or Medium.com. Don't listen to those people. Remember, your blog can make money, but the real payday is when you sell your blog. As I mentioned above, many bloggers sell their blog business for hundreds of thousands of dollars or even north of $1 million. That's how lucrative blogging can be. If you don't believe me, look up the sales of big credit card or personal finance blogs. Those deals can be mind-blowing. Since selling your blog is a future possibility, it doesn't make any sense for you to use a platform like Medium.com or Blogger.com. You don't own the platform, and ultimately you don't own that property. Host your own blogs using your own hosting subscription on your own domain name and run your blog through WordPress. Step number 2, pick the right name. Pick a blog name that really encapsulates the value your blog brings to the table. Step number 3, customize your blog. Make sure that your blog reflects your brand. Step number 4, create winning content. By winning content, I'm talking about content that is recommended by tools like BuzzSumo. When you use these tools, they find the most popular pieces of content in your niche. You end up creating content that people are already interested in. This increases the chance of your blog becoming successful. Step number 5, promote your website. Go on social media and share your blog posts. Share on question and answer platforms like Quora.com. Get on Reddit and discuss your website and share your resources. Make it a point to devote several hours every month to this until you get a steady flow of traffic. Eventually, you can stop promoting because your blog would have gathered enough attraction so that its own readers would be sharing your blog content. Step number 6, monetize. This shouldn't be number 1 on your agenda, but it should still be part of the picture. Once you get enough traffic, look to turning that traffic into money. You can put ads that pay you pay per click, or you can sell your own products, or you can put ads that pay for every single email captured. Whatever the case may be, you eventually start making money, but you should focus first on making your blog popular. Translator. Senior citizens who know a second language or who are good in multiple languages can easily hire themselves out as online translators. There are lots of online translator programs available to senior citizens. Given the random nature of human languages, a simple mechanical one-to-one translation service like Google Translate is simply not going to cut it. There will be a lot of nuances left out. In fact, in many cases, a simply mechanical translation leaves out context, and this might produce the wrong effect. As you probably already know, context is everything. How to make even more money with translation. If you, for example, were a doctor or a nurse, you can translate medical documents, and these can pay more. Similarly, if you were a lawyer before in your old career, you can translate legal documents, and this can fetch quite a bit of money.